What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, I want to talk about something that is extremely toxic to the sport of boxing. And I watch MMA, I watch One Fighting Championships, I watch bare knuckle fighting, I watch, so many different types of combat sports, Thai fighting, all of this stuff, right? Well, boxing is the only sport that you find this behavior in. What I'm referencing is when a fighter is not well known, but that fighter is being overlooked just for that. So we're not basing how good a fighter is based on what he or she can do. We're basing it on, oh, I don't know him, I don't know her. Who is this person? And I'm going to give you some examples. Example number one. I can remember back in the day when there was a fighter by the name of Frankie Randall, who was a good fighter, was relatively unknown. When he fought Chavez, this was supposed to be a fight for Chavez where people looked at it like, you know, Frankie Randall has, he has some skills, but he's not known for beating any real quality opponents. He's not the type of guy that when you say his name, it rings bells. Chavez, on the other hand, is dominant. We already know what Chavez can do. They basically talked like they thought Chavez was going to go through Frankie Randall like a hot knife through butter. Okay? They felt the need to explain who Frankie Randall was because, wow, like they said, Frankie Randall wasn't a household name. They got in there, and Frankie Randall completely outclassed Chavez. And it's like, how the hell did this happen? Right? They were so shocked. And the point is, people really didn't know who he was. Now, for people that watch boxing, I don't need to really say religiously, but just they really are boxing fans. They watch boxing in general, not just certain fighters. They're more in tune to knowing who certain fighters will be versus the casuals, okay? But overall, Frankie Randall wasn't the guy that was well known. So did he beat Chavez because Chavez is overrated, Chavez is a bum, or did he beat him because he was better than people knew? Okay, Bernard Hopkins also falls into that same category where, yeah, he fought Roy back when they were in their prime years physically and everything. But guess what? Bernard Hopkins didn't have wins over people that were like superstars. And I remember when he was going into this fight with Felix Trinidad. I remember this. So I'm not thinking about it and just making something up to talk about, in a sense of just theoretically saying things like, no. I remember people going, who this old ass nigga? This motherfucker 30. What they say? He 30 what? 37? Trinidad gonna kill this motherfucker. Trinidad this, Trinidad that. They knew Trinidad. They didn't know who Bernard Hopkins was. Y'all remember how the fight went. And Bernard Hopkins beat the brakes off of Trinidad. And it was excuses like, come on, yo. Nah, man, Trinidad just had a bad night. Hey, you know when the hell this old ass nigga beat him? Because people don't like to be wrong when they say things. But at the end of the day, what happened? Didn't go the way they thought. Now you realize, okay, this Bernard Hopkins guy really is good. We just never knew of him. There's so many people. Now, I put up a post of Tank Davis when he fought Mario Barrios. Now, I know who Mario Barrios was, just like I know who Oscar Valdez is. And I say that because when Oscar Valdez fought against Shakur Stevenson, neither one of these guys was super popular, but Oscar Valdez, when people say, oh, this guy has a whole country behind him, yeah, it's somebody that may know you, but it doesn't make you a superstar. So even when you have belts and everything, it's one of these things where overall, I remember people, and this is what I'm saying, because boxing conversations are different now. I mean, I didn't have to say, I'll remind the person or explain who Leonard was, or who Mike Tyson was, or who Duran was, or who Hearns and Hagler were. We didn't have to, we knew who these people were, and we were kids. So my whole thing is the fact that people don't know who certain fighters are. It comes into, oh, he automatically must be trash. Okay. Well, I put up a post saying in the community section, and I meant exactly what I said. I'm looking at the size difference between Tank Davis and Mario Barrios. And I remember how Mario Barrios got his ass kicked by Tank, and then all of a sudden, big deal, he beat a bum, right? And Tank Davis has always been the guy, no matter who he beats, he ain't beat nobody. He ain't beat nobody. He ain't beat nobody. Oh, he need to step up in competition. When he steps up and he beat these guys, excuses. Well, a lot of people start to realize, nah, this Tank Davis dude is he's a real solid fighter. You see the position he's in now, right? Okay. But it's funny because I can remember when he beat Pitbull Cruz, people was trolling, oh, this little midget he fought, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wow. So you bring up Pitbull Cruz's small size to Tank in height anyway. You bring up his size, but they never talk about how small Tank is to his opponents. And that's basically what it was in the post. Because I'm looking like, damn, you look at almost every single Tank fight. I mean, how many people did you actually see him actually bigger and taller than, right? So guys like Isaac Cruz and forget the other guy name he fought, but there's not many people that's going to be shorter than Tank Davis. Okay, and so and Pitbull Cruz's very next fight, he was a beast. This dude was a monster. Same with Jojo Diaz. When Devin Haney beat him, oh, Jojo Diaz is a bum. Oh, he's overrated. He ain't nobody. Who was Jojo Diaz? But his very next fight, all of a sudden, Jojo Diaz is a beast. Oh, so he just all of a sudden got good overnight. He was good when he lost to Haney, just like Isaac Pitbull Cruz. You know how he was good when he lost to Tank Davis. And the fact of the matter is, to show you the hypocrisy. Well, if and that's the fight where I think I remember he pulled the glove off. Tank Davis, and his hand was all swollen, and so he pretty much fought with one hand, and you could even see the shit. How he was using one hand throughout the majority of the fight. You know, um, but if he was not good, why would y'all want to see a rematch? And how many people did you hear? I want to see a rematch with Pitbull Cruz. And in fact, that's a rumor that we've been hearing now, is that Tank's first fight back since his situation would be against Isaac Pitbull Cruz. But if he wasn't a good fighter, why would you want to see a rematch then, right? So we know that's nonsense. This is something that really, like, if you watch MMA, you watch One Fighting Championships, the commentators themselves build the fighter up. They'll let you know this person isn't that well known, but this person really can fight. You guys are in for a treat. Win, lose, or draw, this person is a solid fighter. And you know what? That person gets notoriety. In boxing, if somebody has what you call a bad night, they write them off. I'll give you an example of something. Let's look at Regis Prograte's last fight. Now, I can look at a fight and say, okay, the guy was in a proper scrap. That's all. Now, we can sit and point out what the person wasn't doing good, what they should have been doing. Yeah, we can do that. They can do it themselves with their team. What make people not respect what they say is when they make excuses for looking bad. Now, there's one thing is having a bad night. You're just off. The things you should have been doing is not there, versus you just in a good fight with a guy. Now, if you look at, for example, look at the guy that buzzed Daniel Dubois. People like, who is this guy, right? Oh man, Daniel Dubois got rocked by this unknown. You understand? So basically, it's like things can happen in a fight. Daniel Dubois won the fight, but you put everybody who's unknown in the category of that guy. John Ryder, who the hell was talking about a John Ryder before he got his ass whooped by Canelo? He got praised more for getting his ass kicked by Canelo than anything he's done in his career. So for people to, talk good about him, he's a great dad or family man, he's a very good human being. Okay, yeah, that has nothing to do with him in the ring and his status is where he stands in boxing, right? So you can, salute him for his toughness, yeah. But what I'm saying is, who knew him? Who knew who the fuck Stanionis was before? Um, what's his face? The guy that Terrence Crawford fought. Who's like? You understand? Who knew who these guys were? Yeah, somebody might watch it and okay, I remember this guy. But I'm no who's this person is not in your conversations. Nobody's going, I want to see this guy versus that guy. Nobody's putting these guys in big fight scenarios. Okay. So what I'm saying is when you look at that right there, if you're an unknown, that means you'll put Frankie Randall, you'll put Bernard Hopkins in the same category as a guy that has no business in the ring with another elite fighter. And this is a very toxic way of seeing things. And people are stuck behind this wall of ignorance to think because I don't know who this guy is, he must not be good. Oh, you got beat by unknown. Look, Frank Sanchez, and you've heard me say this and I will continue to say it. Frank Sanchez is one of the best heavyweights out there. He got buzzed in the first round of his last fight. And I told you, people will use that as an excuse. Oh, man, Frank Sanchez, he got hurt by nobody. Okay, so wait. You get hurt by a relatively unknown fighter, and that makes you not a good fighter because you don't know who this person is. A punch is not supposed to land. We might as well say that. If I don't know you, you shouldn't even hit this person at all because we don't know you. That means you're not that good because we don't know you. Who the fuck was talking about Zhilei Zhang? You know what's so funny? Let me take y'all back a little bit. When Anthony Joshua lost to Usyk after the second fight, what's one of the first things Eddie Hearn talked about? He wanted Anthony Joshua. They were going to do a tour of China. That's what they were planning on doing, and Zhilei Zhang name came up. I know because it's in my comment section. Who the hell is Zhilei Zhang? Oh, this guy's a nobody. Oh, this guy lost to Urkovich. Oh, Zhilei Zhang. Why would Anthony Joshua play himself and fight Zhilei Zhang? Right? If Zhilei Zhang, let's say he would have fought AJ, and AJ won. AJ was supposed to win. Nobody knows Zhilei Zhang. If he beats AJ, see, AJ's done. He lost to a nobody. But Zhilei Zhang beats Joe Joyce all of a sudden. Yo, I didn't know he was that good. You see what I'm saying? So now he went from being a nobody that pretty much, in my opinion, got robbed against Urkovich. I don't think Urkovich won that fight. But it is what it is. But he went from that to all of a sudden, yo, look at the position Zhang's in right now. He beat the juggernaut Joe Joyce. That wasn't supposed to happen. Now, he not only beat him once, but beat him twice. And how many people was counting him out saying Joe Joyce just had a bad night? So just because you don't know of a fighter doesn't mean that a fighter isn't good. Shadasia Green, for example, nobody's really talking about her fights, but they're talking about her when her name gets brought up against a Claressa Shields or the possibility of facing a Savannah Marshall. Other than that, you say Shadasia Green's name, and a lot of people are like, who is that? You understand me? I watched, like I said, we just watched Frank Sanchez in his last fight in front of damn near an empty building. He's on an undercard. So we know he's not a draw. But because he's not a draw, that means he can't fight. So we're going to overlook his skills because he's not a draw. Boxing does not do a good job at promoting boxing. They really don't. Certain boxers get more notoriety than others, and they get more effort put in towards pushing them to be a bigger brand than what they are than other fighters. But overall, boxing doesn't do a good job at that. Look at this kid, Carmel Moulton. Look at Floyd's new guy. This kid is 17 years old. He's a 17 years old, and he's in here beating grown men's ass, and you get more, oh, man, he ain't fought nobody. Oh, I don't even know this little nigga. Oh, man, excuses, stupid, ignorant things. And I feel like you got too many people that open their mouth to speak before they really think about what they're saying. If your two eyes don't work and you can't see that this kid is serious, then you guys are fools. And the problem with that is, oh, wait till you get there with somebody good. Wait, okay, so now this is what we do. We just critique every fighter to take everything away from them because we don't like them. And we want to be right when we speak, to the point where we just start making up things and start to show hate towards a fighter because I don't want him to be good. I don't want people to see him as good. The kid is up and coming. Well, where's the support? Right? Where's the A? You know what? And don't get me wrong, there are people that salute him, that understand that the kid is on his way. He stays focused, keep doing what he's doing. That kid is good. He's good already. Right? At 17, shit, if he actually evolves and gets better and really, that kid is going to be a monster. And like I said, he reminds me a lot of Tank Davis because of his size. He kind of looks like him when you look at him. He just reminds me of a real young Tank Davis. Even stylistically, the way he jumps on you and punish you and get those power shots in. But bottom line is, he's not a big known guy. So when you say Kamaru Motonello, who's that? You have to say he's a Floyd Mayweather fighter, a little light skinned dude, a little short, tiny little guy, and he 17. Okay, now what people will do was when they start to search for this guy, look, okay, I can remember when nobody knew who the fuck Canelo Alvarez was. I went to my job, and where I used to work, that was the topic of the day, like every day, boxing with these guys. And it got to the point where I remember when I sat there and I asked, did they know who Canelo Alvarez was? Nah, they didn't know who he was. And I can remember, like, a little time went by, first person that came to me, this dude named Ricky. It was like, yo, I seen the guy you talking about. Yeah, that guy's good. Yo, just what you said. Yo, he's real patient. He's real poised. He's calm and collective, man. He take his time, and that kid could fight, man. Yeah, this and that. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So now, little by little, people started to, know who he was, and he became a big star. So by the time he fought Floyd, he had already had a huge following. But I can remember when nobody knew who the fuck I was talking about. So because we don't know who this guy is, see, remember, before he fought before he fought Floyd, there's a lot of people that thought Floyd bit off more than he can chew. Young, strong, quick, big. Yeah, Floyd ain't gonna be able to, that style of Floyd getting, Floyd this, Floyd that. Yeah, Floyd. But they didn't want to say, see, even for people that said, like, at 36, I don't think Floyd is the same fighter. Notice how they erase that shit and they never bring his age up ever again. Why? Because now, that's like saying, well, if Floyd was younger, it'd have been different. No. Instead, he fought Canelo because Canelo was too young. Canelo was too young. Floyd was never too old for anybody at no age. He was never too young for anybody at any age. It's always just the other way around. So now, if he would have fought Canelo, let's just say, and Canelo would have been someone nobody really knew, then what? Oh man, he fought this nobody. You know what's funny? I'm gonna give you two fighters who have said things about Floyd. They give him credit, but they always try to sneak little disses at him. Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Now I'll give you something that's real funny that people never bring up. I can remember Keith Thurman trying to get big fights with Zab Judah, trying to get that fight with Floyd, trying to get that fight with Pacquiao. Finally got what he wanted with Pacquiao and got his ass whooped and called him a 40-year-old rabbit and said, ain't no way I'm going to lose to a 40-year-old rabbit. Yeah, one was 40, one was 30. But he kicked your ass, right? Okay. So we know what would have happened if you would have fought a young Pacquiao. And I have no doubt what Floyd would have did to him. But at the same time, you know what was so funny? I can remember Keith Thurman shot down the name of Robert the Ghost Guerrero. And if you remember that fight, it's like, why'd you fight him then? You take credit from Robert Guerrero. You want to minimize who he is when Floyd's name is attached to it, but you fought him. And if you remember that fight, he spent the majority of the fight on his bicycle, didn't he? On the back foot, running from Robert Guerrero. Yet, he shot him down and criticized him as an opponent for Floyd. But you, Mr. Don't Duck Me, Thun, right? Another, Sean Porter. I remember Sean Porter said he believed Floyd Mayweather was choosing to fight Andre Berto for his last fight because he wanted the knockout and he wanted to go out with the knockout and in style. And he pretty much wrote the guy off. He wrote Andre Berto off like, yeah, this is just, Floyd want to really look good and knock him out. And Floyd spared Andre Berto. He played with him, he toyed with him, and he held back on him. I mean, you could clearly see this shit. He just wanted to go in there and have fun, put on the show. Just he could have he even when he hurt Andre Berto, it was like, man, he wasn't worried about it. But guess who fought Andre Berto after Floyd? And after you already shot him down as an opponent. Yeah. Yeah. Is that any different from Frank Warren shooting down Eddie Hearn for putting Derek Chisora on his car in a fight? Talk about how, Eddie Hearn doesn't care about people. You put this guy in a fight. There's no way Derek Chisora should be in a ring with anybody at this stage in his life. He's already did enough. He's made, good money. Whatever. Just let, the guy shouldn't be fighting. Then guess who not only has him on a card, but against his fighter, Tyson Fury, Frank Warren. Is the hypocrisy not huge? So it's always, certain fighters just get the nod because certain people like them, whereas others don't get it. In this situation, it's the same thing. Look at Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots, he's another guy. I can bring up Jaron and his name in the conversation, and people are like, I don't know who that is. He's another one. So when you hear me say he's in the same position right now that Terrence Crawford was once in, at 147, and the same position that Errol Spence was once in at 147, because people make excuses to not fight him. He's not there yet. Oh, he got to build his name up some more. All these things, but then they turn around, right? And want to complain about people not fighting them and people ducking them. Okay, you're not ducking anyone, but people are ducking you. Yet you got people calling your name out. You don't want to fight them, though. How is Jaron Ennis? He ain't fought nobody, which is bullshit. He's fought some good guys. But in terms of elite, the very best, no, he hasn't. So how is he going to do that when these guys don't want to fight him? So when you heard me say, how is Jaron Ennis going to ever be in that position if these guys don't fight him? Because to be honest with you, if just say if Crawford goes up to 154, if he wants to make that official that he goes up, because as long as you have hardware, it's bargaining chips, right? You're the man at that division. Then drop the belts and go to 154 if you're not going to fight Ennis. Why? Because the only way Boots is going to get his hands on those belts, as far as I'm concerned, is if Terrence Crawford drops the belts. Because Crawford don't want to fight Boots Ennis, because he's not going to get the kind of money that he'd make if he fought against another champion, let alone an undisputed champion. But after, Jermell Charlo's performance, he already said he's no longer interested in fighting him. But my thing is, you are undisputed at 147. Fight Jaron Boots Ennis. The same way I'm not concerned about Canelo fighting Terrence Crawford, a 147-pound fighter. No, I'm more interested in seeing him fight Benavidez. Stop with the Mexican bullshit excuse. Fight Benavidez or Andre, whoever wins that fight. Fight David Morrell. Fight the guys in your division. Now you clean up the division and basically you just have nothing but contenders. Are you going to sit up and just have a bunch of welterweights, junior middleweights, and middleweights just come up to fight you because there's guys at 168 that you can fight, that you realize are dangerous, but they don't have star power? So if somebody has star power, but they're from a lighter division, it's cool to bring them up. You see so much of this happening. So the whole thing is, like I say, when people say, oh, who was Mario Barrios before he fought Tank Davis? Well, who was fucking Pitbull Cruz before he fought Tank Davis? Who was Jojo Diaz before he fought Devin Haney? And it's not like people didn't know who these guys. Well, put it like this: they were not popular guys. Okay, when I say nobody knows you, I don't mean literally nobody in the world. Like nobody knows you, but no, you're not a known popular fighter. No. Who was Frankie Randall before he beat Chavez? Again, we can all sit up here and play this game of, oh, if I don't know you. That is such an ignorant way of looking at something because you don't know that person. There's shit that, I've always said this. If you watch the Michael Jordan Historic Bulls tape, the mixtape, you mean to tell me in 16 minutes worth of video, You go from saying Jordan is not better than Kobe or LeBron James and or Kyrie Irving, or they name all these people, and in 16 minutes you change your mind. Nah, that dude is the GOAT. Yo, I didn't know he was hooping like that. Which means when you deny how good the man was, that means you never even seen him play. So you're speaking on something you don't know. So because you heard of him but never seen him play, you think you saw it all with LeBron and Kobe, and so he can't be as good as them because you don't personally know, have never seen them play before. So you don't see this in any other contact sport though, other than boxing. If I don't know who this person is or who knew who this person was, what does that have to do with how good they are? That's the whole point of what I'm saying. And where how boxers do a disservice to boxing themselves, because like I said before, Frank Sanchez getting buzzed by an unknown guy, which that same guy did get beat by Zhilei Zhang, and I saw that fight and realized that's where I knew of that guy from. But the boxers who Frank Sanchez wants to target, the the top tier guys, they'll use that type of shit, and their fan base will use it. Oh man, he got buzzed by nobody. Okay, so that's the excuse to not fight him, because you see the danger. Jared Anderson is a guy who, no, he hasn't had that signature fight yet, but he, difference with Jared Anderson is him saying belts don't mean anything to him. He doesn't need a belt to be validated, which I completely disagree with. But that's his mindset. He don't see the point. I don't see how the fuck you think you become a big star by not fighting the elite guys. So if you're not in boxing to be a champion and it's all just about money, your fan base, you'll get more casuals on your side. But overall, if you're not fighting the very top guys, then we can't give you that validation in terms of where you stand. We can look at your skill set. And right now, if you look at Jared Anderson's skill set, it's like the kid is he has heart, he has grit, and he's on his way. But he still has, you can see against Charles Martin. You want to turn around and say Charles Martin, like, oh, but he's a veteran fighter. Yeah, but Charles Martin is not that good. But the fact of the matter is, Jared Anderson fought him and he dominated the fight. So we know that he has some skill there. I think personally Frank Sanchez beats Jared Anderson unless Jared can knock him out. But I think without a knockout, I don't think he beats Frank Sanchez. Frank is just too skilled overall. Now, that being said, when Anthony Joshua knocked out Charles Martin, Mr. I work the earth like a god, he's a bum, that shit don't even matter, blah, blah, blah. Like Bermane Stiverne is any better than Charles Martin. He was just a little more known than Charles Martin, put like that. That's about it. But it was nothing that Bermane Stiverne really did in the ring. He never really overwhelmed anybody with anything, But at the end of the day, remember when the rumor was Charles Martin was going to fight Deontay Wilder? And isn't it funny that without doing anything, he went from being a bum as a former AJ opponent to all of a sudden, this is going to be a good fight. Yo, Charles Martin got some skill. Wow. When did this happen? When did all of a sudden he become real skillful? You see what I'm saying? So Charles Martin, and if you listen to Anthony Joshua talk, he always said his biggest win was against Klitschko. He don't even really talk about the Charles Martin fight. And you can see he was even disappointed at that point. He kept putting his hands up like, he wanted more from Charles. This was that AJ that didn't give a fuck. That's the I don't give a fuck AJ, all right? That was the I don't give a fuck AJ. But when you look at what I'm saying, when you look at it all, it comes down to this. Instead of us looking forward to seeing what this fight is about and being more interested in seeing the good fights and just watching the fighter's journey. Oh, he ain't fight nobody. Oh, man, he ain't this and that. Oh, he need to step up. Oh, he need to... You got guys that got 7-8 fights in and they're calling out world champions. They haven't done anything yet. But in their minds, I'm worth way more money than what I'm getting. And I'm going to clout chase. I'm going to say people's names. I know I'm not in a position to get that fight, but they're trying to do everything to get attention to themselves. But Once they have one bump in the road, even when they win, oh, they're overrated, or they're bums, they're this, they're that. Look, Yuriorkis Gamboa, that's the name I was trying to think of, was another guy that was maybe a little bit shorter than Tank, maybe. But he's a veteran. And I remember people talked about, man, it took Tank forever to finally get this motherfucker out of here. He had one leg. Tank didn't look like Tank that night. And I remember everybody was calling Tank a bum. Tank is this, Tank is that. Tank won't beat none of the top guys in the division at 135. All this shit. Now look at where he stands now. They said all the same shit about Devin Haney. Look at where he stands now. So Charles Martin is a skillful guy. He's a wily veteran and all this dumb shit, but Gamboa isn't. See, and this is the thing I'm saying. Because we don't know a person does not mean that that person isn't good. Look, I got fucking Netflix, Amazon Prime, Tubi, HBO Max. I got all of this shit, Peacock, right? Because I never heard of a fucking movie, I'm gonna assume it's not good. Do you know how many fucking movies I've seen that people say, yo, you gotta see that? And I see it and I ain't really like it as much as other people did. Do you know how many movies I've never heard of and I watch it and go, damn, this is good. I like this movie. Yeah, this is good. Because I never heard of something doesn't mean it's not good. Okay, simple. Popularity versus ability is usually never an actual balance. If I don't know you, I write you off. If I know who you are, and even when you know people, they still have people that don't like their style. They'll say, I don't, this person, I like such and such better or whatever. I don't care about that. What I'm saying is, for us to sit here and because of a lack of popularity, let that be a deciding factor on how we see a fighter, is completely stupid to me. And you make no point when you say things like that. It's no point when you say things like that. Being an underdog, a lot of people just go with underdogs. It's not about, oh, I don't know you. Who the fuck knew who Jermaine Franklin was? Before he fucking went in there and fought against Dillian White. Who the fuck knew who Jermaine Franklin was? But he went in there and had a debatable fucking people, more people even thought that he won the fight. And the fact that Dillian struggled with him. But who knew him? Then they gave him credit and gave him props. Same people turned around and said they think in the fight with AJ and Dillian White, I think Dillian will beat AJ. Then you had people that were sleeping on AJ was saying, nah, AJ will fuck Dillian White up. But ain't it funny? Because then Jermaine Franklin fought against AJ and people said, nah, AJ gonna wipe the floor with this kid. I mean, it's just weird. But we know what that's about. But point is, who the fuck knew who Jermaine Franklin was? Yet he went in there and went the distance with a former world champion, former unified champion, and then went there against another top contender in Dillian White and went the distance with him. So if he's a bum, then they're all bums then. Because if you go 12 rounds with a bum, even though Anthony Joshua's performance was way better than Dillian White's was because he pretty much shut him out as far as I'm concerned. I ain't see one round I thought that Franklin won. But at the end of the day, it's the same question. Who knew who the fuck this guy was? So we can play the who's who game forever. People knew who Jimmy Young was, but he wasn't supposed to beat George Foreman. At that point, Foreman had only lost to Ali, but he wasn't supposed to beat George Foreman. He wasn't supposed to give Ali a tough fight, not Jimmy Young. And Ali was on the decline at that point. Let's not get it fucked up. But still in all, he wasn't supposed to beat, he wasn't supposed to go in there and give Ali a tough fight. He damn sure wasn't supposed to beat George Foreman. George was a young lion, right? Jimmy was younger too. But bottom line, look how that fight went. And that's a fight that people don't really want to talk about because it's like, George, they want to talk about the Ali fight, but it's like they don't want to talk about the Jimmy Young fight, like it didn't happen. Yeah, so the big bad monster got beat, and that was his last fight before he retired and came back some years later, But just saying, with all of this whole if I don't know a guy, like who knew this guy, like, okay, what the fuck does that have to, and on top of that, especially with the Tank Davis comparison, what the fuck does that have to do with his size, his physical size then? When Chris Algieri fought against Manny Pacquiao, people was talking about, oh, but this dude way taller, got a longer reach. If you saw, who the fuck knew Chris Algieri? That's why they had to remind you, oh, he beat Provodnikov, and that's how he earned his shot. Well, Provodnikov, not to be funny, was nothing but a tough guy that came forward. He was a human punching bag. Provodnikov wasn't no skillful guy. He was a fucking punching bag. I was never impressed by him. I understood, yeah, he can take a beating and keep coming. Yeah, I understood that about him. But bottom line is, I saluted Chris Algieri for the win. But I was never, just like Margarito, I was never impressed by him. But it's people, Ricardo Mayorga, I was never impressed by Mayorga. Okay, but bottom line is, the fight went the way it did, and if you seen Chris Algieri fight, you know damn well, and you seen Manny Pacquiao fight, you know damn well Chris Algieri had no business in the ring with no goddamn Manny Pacquiao. Just like he had no business in the ring with Errol Spence. But ain't it funny that he fought a debatable fight against Amir Khan? But again, the question stands. Who the fuck knew Chris Algieri before he fought Provodnikov? No, before he fought Pacquiao. Because they had to tell us that he fought. Even though I saw the Provodnikov fight, lots of people didn't. Lots of fight fans didn't. And nobody who the fuck knew who Chris Algieri was. But it turns out Chris Algieri actually knows how to box, but there's certain styles he just can't fuck with. And he can't handle power. He like power punches. He can't see the difference with Amir Khan. He throws a little fast slaps. He reminds me of a fucking praying mantis the way he throws his shots. He's trying to throw and move out the way at the same time. He's less effective if he can't sit down on his punches. Amir Khan got heart but no chin. And technically, you know, it's always easy to get to Amir Khan, man. That's why he don't get outboxed. He gets knocked out. Because he can't take a fucking punch. And if you remember, it was that very fight where Chris Algieri, who we all know is a very pillow-fisted fighter, was the aggressor and was walking down Amir Khan and had Amir Khan was on the back foot the whole fight. But Amir Khan was the big puncher, right? And seen as the better fighter. And how many people really thought that Amir Khan won that fight? So, yeah, I debunked that bullshit about who knew this person, who knew that. That doesn't mean shit because you don't know a person. So I gave you names that and situations to think about where when you hear that term, who knew this person, you don't write a person in your own book. You can write off who you want. But that's not how we measure how good a fighter is, based on if we've ever heard of this fighter or not. Regis Prograis last fight, the guy that he fought, he was a relatively unknown. And he went in there and gave Regis a tough fucking fight. So when you want to say nobody knew this person to dismiss them, okay. Also, how your point gets debunked when you say that is because, okay, even they said it about Mario Barrios. Well, he got stopped against Tank. He went the distance with Keith Thurman. Yeah. And then he just beat Ugas. Doesn't matter. Now, when you think about what's the purpose of even saying who knew him, what the fuck does that mean? And it doesn't change the fact that he's way taller, way longer reach, and still got stopped by a 135-pounder, but went the distance with 247 pounders. Okay? And you know what he did? Came all the way from 135 and jumped up to 147 and fought Keith Thurman. But nobody brings that shit up. So that's the whole thing with that. And again, like my post in the community section, plain and simple, you guys shit on fighters because you don't know them, but then you praise them for fighting someone else and losing. You understand what I mean? So if you lose to a fighter that we hate, like a Haney or Mayweather or Tank Davis, then that opponent wasn't shit. But when they lose in a fucking gallant effort against a lesser opponent, they're a beast, they're a warrior. And if they should win in a tough fight against a lesser opponent, they're a beast, they're a warrior. So you guys not even making any sense when you say things like that. And bottom line, that's all the post was about. People never talk about how small Tank Davis is in size to people, like the Ryan Garcias, for example, the Rolly Romero. They never talk about how small he is in size to them, how naturally he's much smaller than them, but they always bring up how small somebody is to another fighter. So with Tank Davis, it's like, well, him being smaller doesn't count. It just only counts when it comes to other people. That's what y'all might as well say. And that's all the post is about. But bottom line, I made this video based off of that. Talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people. And I will catch y'all on the next video.